Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel Beauty of Language. So today in this video I'm going to talk about the summary of the story There Will Come Soft Rains, that is written by Ray Bradbury. But before I start the video, please do subscribe my channel Beauty of Language for regular updates and the explanation of the poems in ISC syllabus. Rhapsody has already been uploaded. Please check them out. The videos on drama, Macbeth, summary of all the acts that is in your syllabus, ISC syllabus class 12. All the videos have already been uploaded. If you have got any suggestions for any more videos related to Macbeth, then do let me know in the comment section. And if you want to hear the explanation of this story, a summary of the story in Hindi, then you can go to my channel Beauty Bharadwaj and also subscribe to it. And on my website beautyoflanguage.in, I have included all the types of questions that can be asked in your exam. Okay, I haven't talked about them here because that will make the video unnecessarily long. Okay, I don't want you all to see the duration of the video and think that, oh my god, such a long video, I'll not be able to see it. So just for your convenience, I have made it the shortest but clearly explained possible. So when you will getting back to the story, so when you will read the story, you'll feel that okay, these things we see nowadays. We see the house cleaning robots, the Roomba. Okay, we see water sprinklers. We have Alexa, we have Google Home, we have Siri. So what is different in this story? But while it was written, when it was written way back, for that time, this story was kind of futuristic one. Story takes place in an automated house on August 4, 2026 in Allendale, California. So the house is completely empty, okay, but it still works perfectly. The alarm clocks, the food making, the reminders, cleaning, gardening, everything, as if a family is still living there. Now at 7 a.m. in the morning, a voice clock sings to wake the people in the house, just like Alexa, Google Home. Okay, so in the kitchen, the stove, it prepares the breakfast automatically: toast, eggs, bacon, 2 cups of coffee, 2 glasses of milk. And then another voice announces the date, birthdays, anniversaries and the unpaid bills. Then at 8:01 a.m. the house calls people to go to school and go to work. But all of these are happening, but no one responds. There are no footsteps or closing of the doors. The weather box is kept nearby and it softly announces rain, that it is going to rain that day. At 8:30, the breakfast that was cooked, the untouched breakfast, it is all put into the sink, washed away, and the dishes, they clean themselves. At 9:15, tiny robotic mice come out of the walls. They clean the house from end to end. They suck the dust, brush the carpets, just like vacuum cleaners or Roomba, which cleans the house. Okay, you know that, the one that moves around the house and cleans everything. And after finishing their work, all those mice, they disappear again. Then by 10 a.m., the sunlight reveals a very shocking truth. This house is standing alone in a city. A nuclear blast, it wiped out the whole city and its people. So everything around it is rubble. It is all in ruin. Only the remains are there, the ruins, the ash. And at night, the city glows with radioactivity. Now, the entire west face of the house, it was completely black, except for the 5 shadows that were imprinted on the wall. If you remember, children, then in the Hiroshima and Nagasaki nuclear blasts, the shadows of the people are still seen today. They are called the nuclear shadow. Why those shadows were formed? The heat from the atomic blast, it was so intense. It was so intense that the people, they did not burn, they vaporized. And it bleached the surfaces. And because of this, the shadows were formed, and that is why they were called the nuclear shadows. So in the same way, the shadows were formed here in this house, on the wall of the house. So through the description of the shadows, it must have been just another day in the lives of the people that were living here, there before the blast. A man mowing the lawn, a woman picking flowers, a boy throwing a ball, and a girl ready to catch it with her hands still in the air. These shadows are the only remains of the family in that house, that family that was destroyed in a second by a nuclear blast. But the house, it still continues to protect itself. The house behaves as if it is kind of person. It reacts nervously to even small sounds. So it has been mentioned here that even if a sparrow touched the house, then its shades snapped. Okay? The shades were put down. So not even a bird must touch the house. It was so mechanically well protected. Then at 12 noon, a dog came at the door of the house looking very thin, very sick, very weak, extremely weak, almost no flesh in the body, only the skeleton. Okay, it arrives at the house and enters when the door opens. Now you might wonder that how can the door open when it did not even let the bird touch it? The door opened because the house must be knowing the dog's voice. It recognized the dog's voice. That is why it opened. When the dog entered the house, the cleaning mice, they were following the dog very angrily because they had to clean the mud that was brought along by the dog along with its footsteps. So the dog, it runs upstairs crying at the closed doors, but what does it get in return? Only silence. And after that, it finally collapses and dies in the living room. For whom it must be looking there in the house? For the owners. 2 p.m. the robotic mice, they return and they carefully remove the dog's body and take it to the cellar. Cellar, you understand, the basement, okay, where things are burned or things are stored there. By 2:15 the dog was completely burned and completely destroyed. So the house next, it continues without stopping. So at 2:35 tables, drinks, they appear on the patio. Patio, you understand, it's actually an outdoor space which is there in the house, which is used for dining, recreation or some kind of celebration. The drinks appear for the guests who never come. And at 4 p.m. in the evening, everything is clean again. At 4:30, the nursery walls light up with colorful images of animals in a jungle for children who are no longer alive. Now at 5 in the evening, the bathtub fills itself automatically, dinner preparations begin, and a cigar pops out in the study room. And at 9 o'clock, the beds, they warm themselves. At 9:05, a voice asks, Mrs. McClellan, which poem you would like to hear? When no answer comes, the house chooses a poem by Sarah Teasdale, There Will Come Soft Rains. So the poem is basically, it is about how nature will continue peacefully even if all the humans die and the world will not miss them. Okay, and that is why the name of the story is this, There Will Come Soft Rains. So music plays, the cigar burns to ash, and the house, it again remains empty. At 10 in the night, the disaster happens. A tree branch, it crashes through the kitchen window and the cleaning chemicals are spilled everywhere. And as a result of it, the fire starts. The house cries, fire, fire. The house tries to save itself and tries to stop the fire with water sprays and alarms. But the fire, it spreads quickly. The water is finished, all the systems fail, and the flames, it move through the house. So although the chemical foam, it briefly slows the fire. For a moment, it slows the fire. And this thing, it has been presented in the story very beautifully. The fire was like an elephant that gets a sudden shock when it sees a dead snake. So even though the dead snake is not going to do anything, but still at the sight of the snake, the elephant, it is shocked. But there is an explosion that destroys the attic controls. Okay, the fire grows stronger, melting mirrors, burning rooms, clothes, everything. The nursery burns and the animal images, they all disappear. So even as the house collapses, the mechanical voices that they continue announcing time and reading poetry, a thousand things, since the house was completely automated. So when fire breaks out, what happens that all the things that start running simultaneously. Thousand things that starts happening in confusion. It continues till all the wires are burned and circuits break. In the kitchen, the stove had also gone crazy. It was cooking 10 dozen eggs, 6 loaves of toast, 20 dozen bacons. Why? Because the fire was eating up everything. So the stove thought that more food is needed. That is why it kept on cooking at a very psychopathic rate. Okay, so finally the house is completely destroyed with a final crash. Only smoke and silence remain. दर 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 करके पूरी घर वो गिर जाती है. At sunrise we get to know that one wall is still standing, and from this wall a voice calmly repeats the date. Today is August 5, 2026. So the voice keeps speaking even though the house and all human life are gone. So the story, it shows how human pride and technology and war, it leads to self-destruction. So while nature calmly survives and moves on without humanity. So that was all about the story. I hope that was easy to understand. I'll see you in my next video with a summary of another story from Prism. Till then, bye bye, take care.